Okay. And here we go.
Here we go.
Welcome, world.
My name's Nic Fera.
He ruined it. He ruined it. He ruined it.
Start over. Rewind time.
Let's start it
Go back
over.
in time.
Let's start it over. I'm going to
Start
start.
over.
Hold on. I'm going to do the transition all over again.
There's reasons I've never been on live TV before.
It's not TV, Nick. All right, we're starting. Again. We started again. I did the whole thing over. I'm joking, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm comfortable with what I've done.
You're not from Lincoln Park, though, Nick.
I never listened to Linkin Park that much. I had a kid at the shelter that used to like him a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah. Used to listen to it all day long, and I'm like, whatever keeps you out of trouble.
Well, let's talk about you. Where we were going with this. How many bands have you been in? We were talking 1 or 2 or 3, right? Let's start with Perfectly Normal.
Yeah, 1 or 2 or 3 before 97.
Yeah.
After 99, it would have been 5. After 2001, it would have been 6, I think. So I started in Sav, Cheesecake Junior, then Perfectly Normal would have been like my first serious band. But I played shows with Sav and Cheesecake Junior.
Yeah.
Cheesecake Junior used to be called Bane as well.
Yeah, Bane.
I'm not sure if it was named after like the comic book character Bane, or you'd have to ask Andrew Hercules about that. It was the same guy, same music. It didn't change anything. It was just the name was different. And then Perfectly Normal, I joined with Kenny. I'll stop trying to kick my computer screen. And then after that, I joined Dylan Dog while I was still in Perfectly Normal. And then I joined Haligwa just after I left Perfectly Normal. And then I did a going away show as Groin Fusion when I moved to Winnipeg in 2001. So what's that, 6? Or yeah, 6 now?
Yeah, I wasn't counting, but Cheesecake, Helga, and then you said you did one with Groin Fusion?
Yeah, we did a one-off show. 4, we mixed a bunch of songs together, 5, like Rather Be Dead.
Yeah.
Rather Be Dead and Nirvana's, oh man, what is that song? Is it Breed? Yeah, I think we mixed Breed and Rather Be Dead. It works. It works. We're better at practice when we remember the last part too. But then after that, I came back from Winnipeg and I didn't play in bands for a while because I just started to get into Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So
Yeah.
I was doing that full time. And then I tried out for a pop band. I tried out for Amanda Carter's band. And then I actually made the cut on Strawman, like an actually hard band.
Yeah.
Strawman Fallacy was like probably the toughest band I was in. And that's what brought my grind skills up to par. And after that, Masters of Finance, followed by Please Stand By, who their big thing was that they didn't have a drummer before.
Yeah,
I
I
was kind
saw
of,
that. I was looking at the CD, the folder for the CD that you gave me, and it said, "We have a drummer now." At the bottom of the
yeah,
everything, there was a bold statement about art in there. I was going to bring it up here and read that, but I forgot to. But that's me.
I mean, Matt Miller was, he's a national spoken word champ, right? And,
Yeah,
and Alex Brett's one of the craziest bassists I've ever played with. Like, just the speed in his slap and pop is
really.
unrivaled. I mean, like it's pretty crazy. Yeah, so that was another crazy band to be a part of. I'm just trying to keep up in that band. And then I started to slow down in the next few bands. There was Ola Rocks,
Yeah,
and it was a ska punk band. I didn't record with them. Maybe ska
just
pop.
just live shows.
Yeah, we just played once. It was really good though.
Yeah.
But it was funny. The last person I spoke to before I played at that show was the old drummer. He's like, "Yeah, it's not like I'm trying to psych you out." And I'm like, "Yeah, you can't do that." On the inside, I'm like, "Oh my god, he's psyching me out. He's psyching me out. He's psyching me out." But no, that show went well. He did some really cool drum beats though. He was more of a studio guy, which is unfortunate. And then after that, I played in a few cover bands because there was Downer and I think there was something else for a while, but nothing came out of it. Or I should keep it quiet. Um, Devanzo Shift will never jam again, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
And and Southern Wall. That's with Harris, so that'll keep doing stuff. He
Yeah.
doesn't even need me. You just get Chris from Sloan to fill in, so that's not so bad, right?
Yeah.
I get replaced by Chris from Sloan, so no big deal, right?
No big
He's off.
deal. No big deal.
No big deal. Yeah, let me just drink to that.
Yeah. But
So, oh, I also forgot
you also
the
got to
two other
open
cover
for
bands.
Sloan. Don't forget that.
Yeah, that's another mind blowing kind of event. Like I remember my buddies in grade 9 or 10, Frayed, they opened for Sloan at like the Ivy Bridge in Brampton, and that was like an epic show. I didn't go to it because it was a school night.
School nights, right?
I couldn't go to shows on school nights until grade 10, I don't think. And that was Nirvana, which was kind of cool. And then I saw Guar the day before a baseball tournament. I almost couldn't go to that one either. So I was lucky I played okay at that tournament, or my dad would ever let me do that again. But yeah, no, yes, playing with Sloan was a real mind fuck because they're so naturally good. They don't warm up. They just hang out. They do their own thing. Like it
Yeah.
would be like Andrew would be reading a book, Jay would be doing this, Patrick's doing this, and they just get together 15 minutes before, show up on stage, and just hammer
Yeah.
out the
It
set.
really felt
They don't really
natural.
even do center.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like it totally won me over. Like for an album I'd never heard before, and they're just a great live band. Like
For
not saying
sure.
they're not a great studio band, they are, but some bands live just take it to the next level, and they have that like punk spirit, and that's something that Sloan definitely has. Let me get my lights turned out here. Sorry.
Man, I'd never seen Sloan live before that. I've heard them on mainly radio and I think through like friends playlists and stuff like that. But when I saw them, I was like, why aren't why haven't I like listened to these guys more? Blew me
Yeah, they
away.
kind of go under the radar. They're almost too. They're not really too humble, quiet in interviews. They're really funny in interviews, but like they kind of slide right under the radar because they came out when Nirvana came out. They've been around since '88 or whatever,
Oh yeah.
and they're from Halifax. So like most Halifax bands, like The Plan or North of America, get ignored. But really good bands, a
For
lot of good
sure. For
indie
sure.
rock from there. I'm sure other styles from out there. I don't know a lot of the other ones, just Dionysian Smile and a few others. That was like more Fredericton, I guess, but Brunswick.
What what band did you see growing up that you decided you saw these guys and you were like, that's it, I want to be a musician?
Oh,
What
okay.
made you make
So
that
I
choice?
saw. Let me unpack this one slowly. It's going to take a bit. So I saw Billy Joel when I was 4.
Wow.
I really liked the drummer. I forget his name. Something DeVito, Danny DeVito, something like that. Um, and like Sloan, the drummer in Billy Joel's really good drummer. Like if you listen to the opening to Only the Good Die Young, it's like that like triplet fill where the it's just a really good fill, and like it's he's doing it with like brushes, so you can barely hear anything. And he's turned like Jason Newsted from Metallica's and Justice for All album all the way down, so you can barely hear him a lot of the time. But he's a really good drummer. So I think subconsciously I always kind of wanted to be a drummer from that age on, but couldn't afford it. Didn't have the musical interest. Again, growing up, I liked Billy Joel, Weird Al. Um, but I think Nirvana. There was 91 was the year when every band had a good album. So Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Boyz II Men, En Vogue. The list could go on and on, but Nirvana was probably the band that got me the most. And so probably Dave Grohl, Matt Sorum from Guns N' Roses, not not sorry, not Matt Sorum. Steven Adler was a guy that I liked from Guns N' Roses, not necessarily the new drummer. And Lars Ulrich got me into drumming. Those three were the big ones for me. But I mean, like I've liked all kinds of hip hop and stuff from like Maestro Fresh West and Public
Losing connection a little
Enemy
bit.
on. So,
Can you hear me?
sorry,
We lost connection for a second there.
just a little bit. Then you said 3 words at once. It was impressive actually.
It's exactly what
Right, what'd
happened
you
to
say?
me. You said a compressed sentence that I couldn't understand for a moment. You skipped.
Oh, it was Maestro Fresh West was a big influence, and then Public Enemy, Chuck D, in particular, with his words, very smart, very political.
Yeah.
Um, the rest of the group had their issues with politics and like the Nation of Islam, but they all still stand by what they said. So it is what it is.
So, as for your own artwork, do you like as far as like music goes? What are you most proud of? Which can you cite a particular song or album that you're most particularly proud of?
Album wise, it would probably be Strawman Fallacy would be my favorite. That was the hardest for me to do. I had just like destroyed my wrists about half a year previous. I was standing, trying to learn to stand on a Swiss ball and fell on both. Fell on both straight out. So like just mangled them. Played a show that week. Didn't take enough time off. They hurt for about 5 years afterwards, but I think I recorded 6 months later, and it was really tough, but a lot of fun. Like really fun. We recorded with SKOT from Gorgeous Industries, and they paid for all of that, which was awesome.
Nice.
Uh, yeah, no, that was probably my favorite album to do. Please Stand By album was the funniest album to do. That was with Kenny. But also like the first real recording experience would have been with DVD, and that would have been Perfectly Normal. And we didn't finish that one. We got 7 songs or 6 songs done, I think, on my end. They're terrible. Like I'd love to redo them
Yeah.
because my drumming is not up to snuff. But that was '97 for you. I was still learning. But yeah, Strawman really tightened up my drumming, so I was really happy with that recording. And the Please Stand By recording was another favorite of mine. Again, there's parts I would love to do over, but it is what it is. So the expression that always means something. I just
But
won the lottery. It is what it is. It is what it is.
let's bring up redoing though. Isn't Harris retouching some of the old Dylan Dog stuff? Are you
Yeah.
gonna
So
be?
Harris, that might be a secret. I might not be able to talk about that. You
Uh
might have
oh.
to
Uh oh.
CGI that part out.
Never
Turn
mind.
yourself
We
into a
didn't say
tree there.
nothing. We didn't
Yeah,
say
I didn't say
nothing here.
nothing.
Let me
But
just no, no, no. We didn't say
first Dylan
nothing.
Dog
Let's just
tape was I was with Paul Benoit on drums and Harris on guitar, and I think James was on bass.
okay.
Um, that one might we worked on parts of that like a few years back at Kenny's old studio.
Yeah.
We were trying to do it like I'm going to say 10 years ago, right around when I did the Please Stand By recording with Kenny. So there was that time then that they were trying to do it, and if it's happening again, I don't know.
Uh-oh.
Maybe
I don't know.
maybe big surprise, big release, hard like
Mm-mm.
punk rock.
My
Um,
mouth is full.
yeah, exactly. Uh, yeah, so that's one that could be being done again. And but like the first time I recorded with Dylan Dog was with Stevie D and Greg Dawson at Harlow Studios.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Greg's a cool guy.
Um, yeah, I mean, they're both like to put up with me in the studio for 3 or 4 days is like a lot. I was a real spaz back then. I hadn't touched the drugs yet, so I hadn't learned to slow down
Yeah.
or do proper takes or know to shut up in a studio or etc. 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 etc.
I feel like I'm still in that phase sometimes when I pick up my instruments. I haven't gotten used to being the owner of an instrument yet, even though I own pretty much one of everything. I mean, not everything, but I have a
Yeah, I
kalimba,
mean,
I have a bass, I have an electric drum
really,
kit. Yeah, a kalimba. I have.
I played on.
No, it's all in here.
Well, you can hold every part of it up right now.
Well, the kalimba's
That's
just a
awesome.
little box.
Like to give you an idea of how long it took me to get comfortable on drums. I started drumming in '93. I think I recorded properly the first time in '97, '98.
Hmm.
So it took me 4 or 5 years just to get comfortable. And even then, like you always sort of like, there's parts we could redo.
Yeah,
There's
you can.
parts that I'm not sharp on.
I've,
There's things that I would rather do different, but it is what it is.
I've recently come to the conclusion to myself that I have no real excuse not to practice every day or to try to create something every day. I have the means and the necessary equipment to, so I might as well sit down and try to do something every day. If I
Yep.
create something, then I create something. If I create nothing, then I create nothing.
Well, you
It's
got kids to entertain too,
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
the other
always
side
fun
of
to
it.
entertain the kids with that, right?
Yeah,
They don't
well,
know any better. Oh, fucking
one of them
great.
likes music, the other one would rather plug his ears. Some depends how much noise I'm making, really. But
Send them out. Get them out of here.
yeah, he goes and plays
Get the next kid
Minecraft.
in. Oh, that's relevant.
Keep him occupied. Yeah.
Yeah. No, music's great. Like any art form, artistic art form. And I think I was talking about this last time. You asked me questions about the protests, and I think like protesting is a different kind of art as well.
Yeah.
But like, there's art in everything. If you don't find art in everything, your life normally turns into a pretty dull space. So it's
I feel that
not the goal.
not only are the like protests art, they're when you put art out there, you're putting out a little piece of your soul. You're putting out a little piece of you and what you stand for and what you believe in. And
Yeah.
when you're protesting, that's indefinitely a form of art because you're definitely putting 100% of your soul into what you mean, what you need somebody to hear. And
You're putting your body on the line. You might get fired as a result.
yeah,
Like you're putting a lot on the line when you go out to a political
yep,
or any other kind of protest. Like I
any
went
kind
to
of
the FTA
protest.
protest 2001, and it was devastating. There was protests around that time where people couldn't. They just had PTSD afterwards. They couldn't see afterwards.
Mm,
Like people got shot in the neck. They died.
ridiculous.
Um, yeah, no, the police are well equipped. That's my nicest way of saying it. They're very well equipped, and they don't lose.
Yeah, I guess so. That's one way of putting it, anyway. Um,
Again, like, I don't particularly hate the police, but like you can tell when some police are getting out of hand, and like other police need to rein them in a little bit. And I like seeing that some police chiefs are taking that into effect these
mm,
days because it's scary out there. It's dangerous. And like it's more dangerous when a policeman's out of control than when a
oh,
protester's out of control.
for sure, for sure. And I think that's one of the problems with the leadership that they're facing, specifically in the U.S. right now, is that I think he's inciting violence by, being, uh, lying to the people by saying that we want you to stop, and then he's having these undercover cops on the streets cause the riots. I don't know if you've heard
Yeah, I
anything
mean
about that, but
that's pretty standard that there's undercover black bloc guys or whatever from
yeah,
back in the day. There's inciting violence on both sides, and now there's groups from Europe coming over or training guys in Europe and sending them back over to create looters and whatever, and whole real shit show. I would just say that there's no real leadership in the states right now because Donald Trump does not know how to talk,
right.
and that's
He's
a
not really much of a leader,
guy's a real dum dum sometimes.
for sure.
Bring to that.
Now back to
Back to the dum dums.
the dum dums
And
at hand. Us, me, you,
me and
us.
you,
How
you
we're
and
doing.
me,
What
was
you got anything in the works upcoming? You planning on doing any shows when this COVID stuff is over? You got any?
well, we did two shows during the COVID. We just wore masks, so we thought we
Right,
were relatively safe because it's just the two of us in there.
right on
We
Instagram.
we mostly kept distance. It's really hard to just get the right camera angles,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, no, we'll probably do another show or two when this is more cleared out. We'll probably do a basement show, a controlled basement show before it's all done. Not another basement show. Um, it really depends. Really depends when this ends. Like they called for another emergency to go till the end of June, so I don't know when bars are going to open for shows again. I don't know when churches are going to open again for shows. So could be a long time coming before we get a show in. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, I mean
Most likely,
the election in the states is
no,
November 3rd. So I don't feel that like the election is going to change the pandemic or anything like that, but it will at least change the leadership in the sense that we'll feel safer, or not we. I mean our neighbors to the south will feel safer
the meth lab to the
maybe.
south. Yeah,
Yeah, you want to call them.
yeah. I mean, like, I don't know if Joe Biden's a better option, particularly. Like, I don't know if he can be any worse than Donald Trump, but like, a lot of people do not like Joe Biden already. So
But what are you
that's
going to do? Re-elect Trump?
there's a third and there's a fourth party down there that you can vote for. I would say they're much more suitable options. They may not be as organized, but a lot of people
Definitely not.
like I was a big fan of Ralph Nader in 2000, and he only got 3% of the vote. Definitely wasn't a fan of Ross Perot or any other Bloomberg style like candidate, but there's definitely other candidates you can vote for. You want to vote for different candidates. I'm not saying they're a throwaway vote. They're your vote. It's your vote. It's your right. I choose not to vote because I have no one that I choose to vote for in Canada. I used to vote for the Green Party because I had a buddy that ran for it, and he doesn't run anymore, so I just stopped voting. I don't feel my proportional vote matters. Although I have a picture of Brampton when it was like tied, conservative and liberal. I'm like, maybe my vote would have mattered at this point in the night, but liberals won anyways. Liberals almost always win in Brampton, so
Yeah, I don't
that's that. That's
feel
that.
one vote can make a difference. They say all the time, oh, one vote can make a difference. And I've not really seen too many
Absolutely, it can.
ties like that, but I do vote generally,
Yeah,
but I try to, just keep myself informed enough to know who's the good guy and who's the bad guy, and
yeah,
where to keep my fingers, um, and otherwise I just try to stay out of it as much as I can until, you know, everybody incites themselves into the business of politics and says we're members of the government too. Yeah. So then it becomes
yeah.
everybody's business, right?
Yeah, it's almost like you're voting for the lesser of two or three evils most of the time. So I think people are starting to see that the liberals and conservatives are really just in it for the business guys. And the Democrats and Republicans are just in it for the business guys. They don't care about the working class. So if you could find like a populist party in the States or like a NDP style party in Canada or a bloc party, that would be something worth voting for. But again, bloc has their issues, the NDP has their issues. So people are like, well, we're just throwing our vote away. And I'm like, no, it's your vote. It's your right to vote.
I mean, it
You want
counts.
to vote? So take it. It does count. And if everybody that said they wanted to vote NDP voted, NDP would win.
Right.
Because people are so sick of the taxes from the liberals and so sick of the hospital and school cuts from the conservatives. So they just go back and forth. This is the dance that I've done my whole life since Brian Mulroney to Gretchen to, or Joe Clark to Gretchen to whatever. And it's really frustrating. But again, like I can't really affect the change I want, so I kind of stay silent around election time.
Kurchan
Actually,
was
I
around the
drove to the
time.
States last night.
I was just going to say Kurchan was around the time I started paying attention to politics.
Yeah, man, the Shawinigan handshake. I think I was due to like, oh, maybe that wasn't due to like, space. Nardwar had something to do with that at some point. Nardwar is great. I wish Nardwar would run for some sort of office. That guy's got the charisma. He's got the charisma to do it. But
Yeah.
fortunately, most Canadian politicians are just so boring that like Trudeau almost seems interesting by comparison,
Well,
even though he's really not.
don't say that. Yeah.
Well, Trump's really interesting, but interesting for the wrong reasons. So, I mean, when I drove down to the States, it was, I'm going to say 2 weeks before the election when he won. I didn't see anything for Hillary Clinton the entire drive. So I drove from Canada straight down through the States, 20 hours, and I didn't see one bumper sticker, one thing on the like on someone's yard, nothing for Hillary. I saw two for Trump, and I saw three for Bernie Sanders, who wasn't even in the election.
He dropped out. Yeah.
Yeah, he dropped out. I guess that's what the Democrat Party wants you to think. But he was forced out, and like he was blackballed by them multiple times and in multiple ways, just to make sure they could put their geriatric killer in charge. And they have the next geriatric killer going in there with ties to the same ties to the Ukraine that Donald Trump exposed for a few months back. It's really frustrating. But it's funny though that Bernie Sanders is like a person of the people. People really respect him. The big dogma from America is we don't elect communists, we don't elect socialists. So they'll never really make it. Sorry, I got like some June bugs in there doing their thing. You see this guy?
Not quite. Oh, there he is. On the side
Yeah,
of the
doing
wall.
his thing.
Just on the side there.
Yeah, doing his thing.
Yeah. Big guy.
Yeah. Yeah, to go back to your original question, I think Silent Wall should be recording in the next few months. We'll probably have a 5-song thing coming out to bring it back to music and art. The politics is probably a little bit too much for everybody right now, so we're done with it.
A little bit.
We're done.
Just,
Doesn't affect us.
just a little bit. Just a little bit. So, I wanted to ask you a bit more about Brazil. We talked about that on Saturday when we spoke last,
Wait, yeah.
but that wasn't live. So let's talk about Brazil.
Live. Yeah, Brazil was a blast. Brazil's a real mess right now with COVID, but Brazil was. I went in May. It was 5 degrees up here. I'd like taken 2 or 3 days to get a base tan.
May of what year though?
2005, like my
2005.
tattoo. 2005. So it was like 5 degrees outside here. It was 26 in Miami when I got there. And then it was 36 in Brazil for almost the entire time I was there. It's just unbelievably hot, super humid. Sorry.
Speaking of your tattoo, do you want to show it off?
Of course. Well, it's going to be difficult.
Why not?
Ugh.
There you go.
God, how do cam girls do this? I simply haven't been cam girling enough.
Yeah, no
I need to
nips
cam
though.
girl more.
TOS.
Yeah, all about the lower back and the ass shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of things happened for me in '05. I tapped a black belt. I went to Brazil. I smoked weed for the first time. There was a lot of things that happened that year that I can't say. And then there was my grandfather won a lottery back in the day, and his number was 05, 04, 05, 07, 05. So he won in '05. 05 is my dad's baseball number. It's Joe DiMaggio's baseball number. It's just and the last thing is I used to be part of a religion called Discordianism, and one of their magic numbers is 05. 05. There was just too many things going on. I'm just like, yeah, let's just go with it.
05. Why not?
05. Roll with it. Roll with it. It's definitely my number for sure. Some
Yeah.
people have numbers all to them, and that's one that just keeps popping up over and over for me.
I don't have any lucky numbers. I don't think so.
Maybe you need to build your own luck then.
Maybe.
The weirdest thing someone ever told me was that I might lay my own golden egg. So you may need to build your own happy, lucky number there.
Yeah. Maybe.
He may have been a homeless person. He may have been a time traveler. He may have been God. I don't know. It was a very strange. It was a very strange conversation. He came inside my bar for one drink, we were so low on numbers that they were like, yeah, it's okay. But after the drink, ask them to leave. They're kind of like a posh bar at like King West. So he stood there talking to me, and he's talking about all the pictures on the wall and stuff. Like there was a baby blue picture, and then there was a picture of Jay Gould. I don't know if you know who Jay Gould is or Robert Gould. I'm not sure exactly what his name is.
Robert
It's like
Gould sounds familiar, but
I'm a railway man. I'm like, railway man, railway man. Isn't that all automated now? Like that immediately made me think that he was from like a different century, or he'd had a concussion, one or the other. But he said some wild, wild shit. And when I looked up pictures of Jay Gould, I looked up pictures of younger Jay Gould. It looks very similar to me with these sideburns. It was weird. I've never experienced anybody that I felt was from a different time before, and that guy felt like a time traveler for sure.
Yeah.
Judging by your face, it was like
it was. I can see my face on the camera. I'm like, oh shit. Um, I've heard about these instances before of people like feeling like they've met themselves and stuff like that. There was this one guy who was fixing his sink. Well, I mean, no, it just reminded me of what you were saying. This guy was fixing his sink, and he said he crawled through, and his cabinet just kept extending. And when he crawled out the other side, he met somebody who looked like an older version of himself. And nobody would have believed him if it weren't for the fact that he had his cell phone and took a video of this instance. And he had a matching tattoo with the guy. The guy said they showed in the video, he shows his ID, both the IDs match, and they have a matching tattoo. Their name is the same, and they say that they're each other. Like they both say, my name is this, and I'm this many years old, and they say like I don't know all the details of it, but it was weird as fuck.
What about the time-space continuum? Shouldn't it crash if you meet your present self?
It should fucking start like the sky should start cracking or something. I mean,
that's the old theory on time space.
Okay, sorry.
I think the new theory is that you can't change time in your own universe. You go to a parallel universe or some kind of universe to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
which they sort of explained in like Avengers Endgame, but then they like kind of just pretended it just went right back to the same old one. So
it's kind of how I feel decision making is. Like, I mean, if there's multiple parallel universes, then existing in one of them means that making a decision is where the singularity happens and where it splits off into multiple different sections. So any decision that you make or any one word that you say could be a different word in any different universe. So thereby making the decision to say something is swifting you off into another universe, where in a different universe I'm not talking about this, I'm talking about something else, But it seems like an incredibly reasonable concept to me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the decisions we make aren't necessarily life-changing or universe-altering decisions. Like if I wear this Calgary Flames t-shirt or some other t-shirt, like I don't think it really particularly matters. And I remember they had a Twilight Zone episode about this, and the guy had been put back in time. He's like, oh my God, I can stop the Kennedy assassination. I'm in Dallas. He couldn't do it for whatever reason. He just couldn't stop it, like kept changing bodies. And they're like, listen, what you're saying, like what you're trying to do is important. Like you can change the little side notes of history, but you can't change the most important part. The most important part, they're going to happen no matter what. You can't change them. I thought that was really interesting, and it seems really relevant too. Like in particular, when people talk about like John Titor as a time traveler. I don't know if you've ever read up on John Titor. John Titor is a really funny, funny kid. He talks about like how the CERN created the black hole, and it's like when you have two black holes, you have a singularity inside that involves that you can time travel with, but only the military can time travel.
Only the military.
So from his universe, Y2K happened. In our universe, Y2K didn't happen, but 9/11 happened. 9/11 didn't happen in his universe. So he has some interesting things to say. Again, speculative at best, but like very interesting at worst.
Well, I mean, if you think of decisions we make as neurons firing off in your brain, because when you make a decision, a neuron is firing off telling your brain tells whatever part of your body to do that thing. And if you think about that as a physical
A guide.
existing, no, not a guide, but a physical existing, I mean, the action, performing the action has to exist for you to do it. You
Yeah.
have to be able to perform the action. So think now if you are actually not existing in physical space, but you are existing within your mind, performing the action so that, as a neuron, sorry, so that your body can actually perform it, but you have to live through that existence in reality for your body to be able to experience it, but you are not yet in existence. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I read this book. Well, not exactly that, but I read this book,
It's getting deep.
The Brain That Can Change Itself.
Yeah.
And the brain that can change itself is very interesting in that they've talked about the plasticity of the brain and how it can be altered basically at any time you want to. I still think that 99.99999% of decisions are pre-planned. So like for the ability to like think of something new or do something new is very, very minimal. Um, but within that like 0.0001%, you can change things. You can create like your own free will, so to speak, and you can create like your own existence outside of your pre-planned actions.
Okay.
So yes, like your neurons fire, your synapses go through a certain action, but when they start to go through a pattern, it's established. It's trying to break that pattern. That's a really difficult part, especially for artists. I find artists fall in love with concepts really easily, and you gotta really dig to find guys like Frank Zappa, like Mr. Bungle, like Mike Patton kind of guys that just were really rich. We're just willing to go out there and just try things. Like just go out and just we're gonna do something different. Like we're gonna sing just like this Italian singer. I'm gonna play like just this guy. I'm gonna get Joe Satriani. I'm gonna get Terry Bozzio on drums. Like you really got to get like the right connection of people to make it all work, as opposed to just being different and being totally obsolete because nobody can relate. So you have to steal, you have to create, you have to do a bit of both. Like Frank Zappa's got that great quote, like great artists create, the best artists steal.
Yeah.
So start looking into theft.
Zappa was a great mind. He was a great composer. He was a jazz composer as well as a classical composer. And he was probably one of the quirkiest people that existed since Tesla, I think. Maybe not
John Nikola Tesla, right?
Yeah. Maybe not in the
Not
sense of invention, but in the sense of artistry and just like the way he saw the world. I don't think anybody had really opened their mind as much as he did since Tesla. And
Yeah, I can see him, the same kind of inventor as Tesla. Tesla's known for like two or three things, but like he did a lot of other stuff too. So
yeah, for
there's
sure.
other great inventors from that time frame too that have been totally obscured through history.
But no, I mean, if you really compare Frank Zappa to Nikola Tesla, I mean, they could both. I could see Zappa falling in love with a pigeon. So, I mean, there's really not too many differences that I could part them with at that point.
Yeah, weasels ripped my face off, right?
Right. Exactly.
I watched Frank Zappa's movie. I remember I used to go to Rogers Video when they still existed, and they had like a cult section. They had Frank Zappa's movie there, and I highly recommend it only as an exercise in futility because I could not get through it. I thought it was just like the worst thing I'd ever seen in my life because of how disjointed it was. I don't find his music like that. I find his music very like structured, very like it makes sense what he's doing. Like it's weird, but it makes sense. Maybe I'm just a weird dude, quite possible. But like his movie is just like I guess whack would be the word for it. It's wild.
Yeah. I have never actually sat down and watched it because I think my dad was watching it at one point in time when I was younger, and it was turned off because I wasn't allowed to be in the room. But I should experiment
That's
now and
legit.
take a gander at it.
Yeah, like it's like Naked Lunch. It's like out there, man. man. Like you got to be ready for that kind of thing.
Yeah. Did you know a band called Perfectly Normal currently exists? They are from Oregon.
I know of a movie called Perfectly Normal, and I know the phrase "perfectly normal" comes up in psychology a fair bit. I played in a band called Perfectly Normal for 3 years, and there was another drummer, three drummers that played before me, and three drummers that played after me. And then they changed names and became Monique. And I
Indeed.
think you know Monique, right?
I think I
Is
do.
that true, Val? That you know
I
Monique?
think I do know Moni, and I think I do.
Yeah.
I think I
No
do.
gold albums on the wall behind you.
No gold albums on the wall, but a couple of signed ones, maybe. Yeah.
Not so bad. Not so bad.
Turn the
They
camera,
write
and
some
you'd
pretty
see a
funny
big red
signatures.
stripe over there. I'll just do that just for a second. Just you can see it. It's right. It's right there. The big red stripe. It's like 5 copies of the album. You can't see it, so here.
This,
Let me just.
your whole
There it
wall is.
is.
Oh, awesome. Kenny would be happy when I make him come over and sign them.
Yeah. Well, half of them are already signed, but there's a couple of them that need some scribbling on. But
He'll re-sign over top signings. Yeah, I played with Kenny
he
for
would.
3 years. I'd known Kenny since we were four. We met at church, actually. We met a long time ago.
Yeah, I heard this story. I like the one about him being sent to
Forget
run
it.
around his house in circles before the school bus would come to
Yeah.
pick him up.
Yeah, I mean, he had a shit ton of energy, so he had to his parents had to find ways to regulate that, and I had a shit ton of energy, so my parents had to find ways to regulate my energy. I did
Yeah,
sports. Um, Kenny did a bit more artwork than me. He ended up in an art school for drama too, actually, not music, drama.
interesting.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like it wasn't. But yeah, the A Day in the Life of a Russian Filmmaker was something that I wrote originally.
Yeah,
It was terrible. It was about 50. I got 56%. I won't. I found the papers like about 10 years back, and I'm like, this is garbage. Like I was just writing what I could write and get the assignment done. I deserved 56. I didn't even deserve 56.
just barely passed.
Yeah, that's my entire high school career, really. And I
Yeah,
got a lot of A's
same with
too,
me.
but I barely passed all of high school, and I was just happy to get out. But no, he did a really good job with that for his drama presentation. He got like 80% on it. Turns my shit into gold.
I was glad to recently restore that and put it up online so that some people could see
Yeah,
it.
that's pretty hyped. I love that. I had a friend that loved that. Angela was big
Yeah,
into that. Thumbs up.
glad to be a part of that.
Can't turn my wrist any further, so
That's fine.
my shoulder will snap.
What other stuff you got going on? You working on anything?
Right now, I'm on a leave of absence from work because my kidney's not functioning too well. I can't play drums here, so I'm just watching a lot of TV and listening to music.
The mind of the artist is suppressed now.
I almost don't want to talk about the video games I'm playing, but I've been playing some Subway, some Lemmings.
Wow.
Uh, you know what? Artists will always find ways to occupy their minds. So I'm not too worried about that. Like I still have a shit ton of projects to do. I got to organize all my music. I have to listen to a bunch of CDs I never listened to. I got to rip a bunch of CDs, a bunch of tapes. I have a bunch of VHS projects to do. I have all of that on the docket, so to speak. Um, I'm working on getting my black belt in jiu-jitsu, which is difficult when no academies in the entire province can be open for like 2 or 3 months.
Right.
So I'm finding a way around that. I'm just trying to get back into shape right now. Trying to get my kidney back into shape first, and I'm going to work on the rest as we go. As you can tell, the alcohol helps. So
Yeah, of course. So we
you know
touched
what?
on this subject.
Moderation.
Moderation is always good, especially for alcohol.
Eh,
For me, moderation is one drink every like 6 months.
Yeah, moderation for drinking isn't really your jam. It seems like no drinking seems to be your jam, but like smoking, moderation is your jam. It seems so.
I
I
mean,
don't have moderation with smoke. I start smoking and then I just turn into that like must do 20 bong hits a day. I'm not high after 3 bong hits. I need to do a fourth. I need to do a fifth. Six.
I have my regimen, so I go out for
Yeah,
my joints when I need it. Um,
yeah. Like, I feel like I'm training for the smoking world finals, which don't exist anywhere, but I'm gonna beat them or just destroy my lungs in the process, which I also did.
Awesome.
I shouldn't do. Yeah, no, definitely. I should stay away from marijuana at smoking as much as possible. I think I'm almost at the point after 2 months of not smoking where I can start to do edibles. I think.
You think hypothetically? Well, as long as you're safe and you know what you can consume without passing out, you're good. I mean,
I
if you need to pass out too, that's fine. Just don't die.
don't think I don't think I've ever passed out from smoking weed, but I've definitely thrown up for no reason for smoking weed. That's that new cannabinoid hyperemesis thing that's going around. People don't know they have it, but they all of a sudden need to take hot showers, hot baths. They throw up uncontrollably. They have stomach pain,
Hmm.
so they think they need to smoke more to cure their stomach pain, but it's actually the marijuana causing the stomach pain. Sorry, cannabinoids. It's just the way that they hit certain bodies, and I'm one of those bodies that I just throw up. I don't have stomach pain necessarily. I don't take hot showers or hot baths or anything like that. That's not really my jam. But I knew people that were and pretending that it wasn't weed and kept smoking. It is what it is. Never a good thing.
I mean, that shit was bugging me a while back too, and that's what I thought it was the cannabinoids. But I didn't change my smoking regimen, and now I'm all better now. So
Yeah, I think if people added more CBD focused weeds into their diet, it'd be a bit better. Or maybe switch up from sativa to indica, maybe, or indica to sativa, or just go out and enjoy life a little bit more than just smoking. But maybe
yeah.
that is enjoying life to them. I don't know. Who am I
Well,
to say?
right now it's kind of hard to pull up too much enjoyment from anything except for social media, and now that social media is filled with a bunch of other stuff going on, it's kind of hard to enjoy anything really. So
But yeah, I mean, it's another protest time. So I mean, you need to support Black Lives Matter, and that's the way it's got to be right now
yeah,
because they weren't getting the support they needed in 2015. They weren't getting the support they needed in what was it 1968 when the civil rights movement happened. So if those things happened back then, these wouldn't be happening now.
well, I felt
It
I
has to happen.
saw a video it was either today or last night of the retired police officer that was killed.
Yeah.
And I don't
On the
know
back of the head, right?
why. Yeah, I don't know why. I couldn't fathom the person that was filming this. And not only that, like I mean, the man's on the floor dead, and that's the other thing is that somebody looks at it and their immediate thought is probably that black man is dead. I didn't say to myself, my head didn't think, oh, that's a black man that's dead. I was just like, that's a man on the floor that's dead. My thought was immediately his life. It wasn't his skin color. It wasn't
Yeah.
who killed him. I mean, my secondary thought was, why is this guy filming a dead body? And I know
Yeah. I mean, like
it's important to document this stuff right now, but I
it
couldn't
really is.
fathom that. I could not bring myself to understand why. But
It's
I
tragic
think
on
that
both
it's
ends.
important that I saw that. And it's not just important for me to see that, it's important for other people to see that too. So,
Yeah, it's devastating to see stuff like that. Like he was just protecting a friend's business, I guess. Again, I could be wrong. I don't know the entire story. I've only seen like a few posts about it. It's
well,
so hard to see people
that's the
die
thing.
when they don't
Speaking
need
on
to
this topic,
during
I
a
feel,
pandemic.
yeah, but speaking on this topic, I feel so ignorant because my skin color is not darker than it is. I'm a white person, and I don't feel that I have any authority or any right to speak on this topic because it's not my place. But at the same time, I feel like because it's people like me or that are, and I'll say like me in almost a racial sense because I'm white and I'm talking about white people. It's people like me that aren't listening, and it's people that need to open their ears and their eyes and see that it's people's lives here. It's not just it's not about the color of somebody's skin. It's not about how they talk or how they dress or whatever. It's about people's lives. And
Yeah, absolutely. Like people are being indiscriminate or discriminately attacked, and it's been going on way too long. Um, It's so frustrating. Again, like sources like the Black Panthers would be a good source to go to. A lot of people are quoting Martin Luther King. His birthday was just a few days ago. What was it? Malcolm X. Malcolm X was a few days ago.
Malcolm X was a few days ago. Yeah.
Um, but again, like I'm more of a radical person, so I like Malcolm X. I loved watching his movie. I loved learning more about him. Malcolm X was big against capitalism, so I'm big into that. Again, like capitalism provides the background for a lot of this to take place, where you can just indiscriminately bias yourself against poor people. And the poor people just happen to be a certain color a lot of the time. This most fucked up part that they're not trying to change that. They're just trying to change the side notes around it. They're not trying to change that there are poor people, or that capitalism guarantees that there's going to be poor, that there will be poor people. So don't worry about that. They'll be fine. And my work in the shelters shows that like disproportionately black people get offended against the most, assaulted the most by the police. It's hard to watch. It's hard to be a part of, like the system trying to help people when you can tell that you can't really help a lot of people because the whole system's geared against them, geared against the poor, against black, against women, so on and so forth. Very frustrating.
My wife was saying today that
Especially why I drink.
she saw George Floyd's daughter walk out and say that her daddy changed the world today.
Yeah,
With a
I
big
hope
smile on
so.
her face.
I hope
And
that changes it.
that was my immediate thought too. Is I hope it's not in vain, man. Because if it's in vain, then not even you are going to be able to change that. Let's just hope that whatever comes along next fixes everything here. You know?
Yeah, I can't imagine. Can't imagine anything gets fixed right away during Donald Trump's term.
No.
Maybe during the next president's term. Maybe
Maybe
during the next
after
president.
November. Yeah.
But maybe the media finally starts to like see things as they are instead of the way they want them to be shown.
That's how it
Um,
should be. Yeah. The media should
that's
start to lighten up. And I saw
media should
a video of
smarten the fuck up.
there was like a looting going on, and these black business owners came out of their store, and they were trying to stop the looting because they knew the guy who owned the store.
Yeah,
It was a gold store, so the guys were trying to break in to steal the gold. And
yeah.
well, the store owners that came out to try and stop it were black. And the cops that the news reporter that was filming this flagged down showed up, and they immediately ran over to the black guys that owned the store and put cuffs on them. And the looter ran away through the traffic. And that made me just feel like this society is just like the cops for sure are just not like the media there was being like perfectly open and like they weren't discriminating or showing anything that they shouldn't have been. They
Which
were,
is good, which is rare.
and it was all on camera too. But the officers were telling the lady, the news reporter woman who flagged them down in the first place, to shut up while they arrested the innocent store owners that were trying to stop the looting just because they were black.
Like I feel like if I wasn't laughing, I'd be crying, but like I'm kind of doing that too. But it's like it's just so frustrating to see the response of certain police officers be so fucking whack, like so out of place, so wrong, all the fucking time. I don't even know what to say about that.
Yeah, I definitely think they just need to reevaluate their training methods and before they let anybody
I don't
in.
understand. I don't understand how they can survive so many complaints when there's so many people that want to be police officers that I think would do a better job. And I've worked hand in hand with the police at 3 jobs. I worked at a group home for 9 years. I worked doing security for 6 years, and I worked at a shelter for 4 years.
Hmm.
So we work very closely with the police, like hand in hand. And you can see when there's good police, you can see when there's not good police. And it's just so frustrating to see the bad police just do stupid shit over and over. And like complaints don't seem to matter because the police police the police. I didn't expect a long silence after this.
No, I was just thinking about the police statement, and I mean that's pretty deep. Like I mean, you got the the
Like
people
in
that are
Toronto, the woman that fell over her railing, they say immediately that she barricaded her balcony, that she was going balcony to balcony. I've worked with kids that have done this, that have died going balcony to balcony. It does not sound particularly like this woman all of a sudden went from the bathroom to jumping off the balcony to balcony. It seems like the police did this to her. And that may be a damning statement to the police, but it doesn't sound good either way.
mm,
Like when someone cries out for their mother, normally something really bad's happening to them. Like George Floyd called out for his mother. I don't know how to say her name. It's spelled Regis or Regis. Was calling out for her mother too, and it's never a good thing when you're calling out for your mother just before you die.
nope, definitely not.
But it's this kind of anger that propels art. So hopefully, art that comes out after this time frame is not only relevant, political, but also really good. I expect it to be so. Normally, decadent times create decadent art, which isn't very interesting, whereas radical art comes from radical times. So that's the hope, is that some radical art comes from this and the whole world changes. Like not just the media, not just America, not just the president, that everything change.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading an article about the human condition or whatever it was. Said something about the allostatic load, which is like basically the human response to stress level.
Right, right,
Over time, it represents like psychological consequence of chronic exposure to. Hold on a sec. I have it here. Hold on.
right. Yeah, like people have like baselines for their stress and like
Psychological consequences of chronic exposure to fluctuating or heightened neuroendocrine
you,
responses with results of repeated or prolonged chronic stress. So I feel like with this situation carrying on for so long, people thinking, oh, it'll be over in 2 weeks, and then it's not over in 2 weeks, and it'll be over in another 2 weeks. It's not over in 2 weeks. We've got another problem to worry about. People are rioting and throwing bricks, and people are dying. I'm going to stay in my house for another 2 weeks, regardless of whether we can go
yeah.
out or not, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
like in Canada, like people have been like kind of sheltered from a lot of the rioting violence and a lot of the other murder hornets and whatnot that goes on in the planet.
mm,
Um, Vietnam seemed to handle this pretty good with masks. Put masks on. They made masks mandatory, and they got rid of it. They had no deaths in Vietnam. So I mean, like there's measures that could be taken to like. It seems draconian. It seems vicious, but if people actually know what draconian means, they would realize that it's not draconian means you're getting killed for robbery or something minor. Um, Wearing a mask isn't that big of a deal. I was having problems breathing in my mask for the first 6 weeks. I kept wearing it because getting it's going to be that much worse for my lungs, that much worse for my kidneys, and I'll probably die. So, I mean, like, there's things that you can do to occupy your time. If the worst thing is that you're bored and you're a type A personality, you're a go-getter, that fucking sucks. But, like, there's work out there. You can find work. We will find work for you if you want to find work.
yeah.
But it's like people that are egotistical or they did a specific job for too long and they don't think they can do anything else. It's unfortunate.
And I
They
mean,
can find work. There is work for
if you can't find work, you can make work. Just do what I'm doing. You know, I'm on a
them.
live stream on a website right now. It looks like TV, and I'm talking to a guy in a band. You know, about
Right?
his mind and the art and the stuff that comes out of it. That's work. I mean, I think of it
It
as work.
is. It is not a ton of work, but it's work. Works for me.
Sitting on my ass asking questions to this guy.
I mean, if you want some exercises, I can give you, I'm a personal trainer. I can give you exercises.
We can do that too. I've been out.
So just lift yourself off the chair and hold yourself. Just hold yourself right there. No, keep your hands off. Just use your legs. Wall
Just
chair.
yeah,
Wall chair.
can't do that.
Exactly. Most people don't want exercises now. They want to come. I totally get that. It is a time for complaining and for airing grievances. It's time for talking about your traumas. So do that. Talk about your traumas. Get them out. Talk about things. Figure it out. There's no better time than right now to figure out your traumas because you're gonna have another month to think about them
I think it's
unless you're
important.
working full time.
Yeah, that's important. Like, especially like just expressing yourself in general, I think is important. To remember just to have some form of output right now, especially. It doesn't matter if you're screaming into a microphone and nobody's going to hear it. I think that just,
It's almost better to do it
yeah,
that way.
sometimes it can be.
If you don't
Um,
have an artistic output, it's very difficult to feel comfortable in your life. I find people that are the most comfortable are the artists that I know, and it seems like the artists are the most self-destructive, and they are to a certain extent. But without that artistic output, they're just self-destructive.
yeah,
They're just destroying
I
themselves.
mean, if artists didn't have like a self-destructive quality to them, I don't think they would be as creative as they are. Like, I mean, personally myself, I feel like, you know, tearing my whole world apart. Like some days, but like I think of it as a canvas. Like I just like to just like rip it up and start over. You know, just like a painting, as
Yeah.
if it were a
Well,
painting. That's how I
everybody's.
see it. Like in my mind, is like I'm just gonna rip up this canvas and just
I
start
don't.
over.
I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's like not a meme necessarily, but it's a picture of like how the artist's brain works, and like you have like inspiration over here, and then like you have talent over here. Then talent eventually like oversees your inspiration, so you're bored with this, and then your inspiration goes up, and it just sort of like just keeps going up. Challenge yourself. If you
Yeah.
stop challenging yourself, you kind of stop at a certain point.
Yeah, I feel like they
That's
have to
always good to
balance each
challenge
other
yourself.
out, but that's how you succeed in growing.
But your mind's going to get to a certain point, and like hopefully your inspiration keeps growing up with it. But otherwise, you could be stuck at like like most people read at like a grade 4 level. Like that's unfortunate. I feel like I read at like at least a grade 5 or 6 level, but I comprehend my kind of level because I've had to because jobs have demanded that I have to read people, read when they're lying, read when they're going to attack me, read when they're going to attack my staff, and I have to respond to that. I have to respond before it happens. Are you wearing a WWF shirt, by the way?
No, I'm not. I'm wearing my own shirt.
Oh, rare. Sorry. I know to the W.
It's a V. It's not a
Shout out to
W.
Paolo Infinity.
Yeah, but thanks for letting me show off my merch there for a sec.
Show it all. Do you have any tattoos you want to show
I
off?
don't have any tattoos, but I also have this nice, lovely mug.
Your shirt off. Your shirt off.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna throw up some of your music real quick, just to listen to.
Well, I'm a drummer. I'm ready for making money off sessions. Huh? Huh? Huh?
Some good music. I mean, you can't hear it, but I can hear it.
This puts me in an awkward spot, but I'll just keep like thinking and pretending I'm smart.
We're listening to Driving into You.
I'll just check my phone.
Go ahead. I'll
Oh,
just
Scotty.
shout out my merch.
Apparently, I'm distracting my buddy from his work right now.
That's all we do as human beings. That's all we do. Distract our bodies from the work we have to do.
It's not getting there; it's the journey, right?
Yeah. So that was Driving into You. That was you on drums. What year was that? Do you know?
Oh, 99 with Haligwa. We recorded at Scott from Pettit Project's house. I also jammed with him for my when I tried out for Amanda Carter's band. He was
Yeah.
playing keyboards. That was wild. Like I knew it was his house. Like I knew he lived there. I didn't expect him to be part of the prop band to try out for the band. And he was looking at me like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm looking at him like, "What are you doing here?" Uh,
And then you were both there.
Both there.
All right, Nick. I think we're gonna wrap up here for the night. Thank you for being my guest this week.
Wrap it. Pleasure, son. Sir, son. Not sure what to say here.
Shouting out
Pleasure.
my social medias here.
Nice.
I will have you
Yeah,
back.
like a big logo that's gonna pop up, like a big explosive, like star white kind of thing. No.
No, but
Ah,
if somebody
I'm gonna
buys
work
one of
on
my
it.
shirts,
I'm
then
gonna
a
work
big thing comes up and says, "Hey, you bought one of my shirts." Oh, that's loud. I just threw on
Oh, just to see
when
where
I
I heard
rock
it.
I run, just to end the
Oh,
stream.
nice.
Just put it out there.
That was one of my favorite samples from any song. The principle from, sorry, inspiration for the principle behind "Lean On Me" was the sample for that song. I assume you're not playing that sample exactly, but he's a really inspirational speaker. The movie "Lean On Me" is fantastic with Morgan Freeman. I was obviously a troubled youth, so these things resonate a little bit with me. Getting in trouble, causing trouble, getting in trouble, talking to the principal all the time, wearing their patients out many times. Never punched a principal, though. That's next.
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks.
if you got shitty people in your life, get rid of them. Sorry.
That's great advice. No, seriously, if you got shitty people, just flush them out. It's one of the things to do. You got to do that.
It's one of the few rights you have besides breathing.
Besides
Breathe
breathing.
in, breathe out, let them go.
Thanks for being here, Nick. And we'll have you on again sometime.
Pleasure.
Cheers.
Hope everything's going well for you in this pandemic.
It's going all right. Talk to you again soon.
Yes, sir.